Within the first few seconds of any interactions that you have with people, you're making a first impression. And in order for us to have a good first impression, there are certain things that I want you to take into consideration and start to learn and apply immediately. Let's play a little mind game. Let's say, and perhaps this is true for you in your position currently in your dental practice, let's just hypothetically say that you are in charge of making a selection for a new employee. Would you rather interview this person for 20 minutes or 20 seconds? What if I told you that researchers have found that the importance of the first 20 seconds can determine the hireability of this candidate? I want to talk to you about an interesting study at the University of Toledo where it was found that it might not make much of a difference whether or not you interview someone for 20 minutes or 20 seconds. In the study, two sets of observers were presented with the same interview tapes. One group was shown the 20-minute in length interview, while the other group of observers were only shown the first 20 seconds after the candidate walked into the room. The researchers of this study found that the group who saw only the first 20 seconds was significantly able to match the assessment of the group who had seen the full 20 minutes. Now, going back to the study, this is a really impactful outcome because every time we are going into a presentation or we're having a discussion with someone, we are typically only focusing on what we're going to say and the verbal message that we're going to say. We don't really pay much attention on our grand entrance and how we're going to be perceived within those first 20 seconds. Our first impressions matter much more than what we say. Whenever a patient is walking into the practice, I want you to be mindful and aware of how you are standing and how you're sitting at your front desk. I also want you in the dental practice to be mindful of your grand entrance when you're walking into the operatory room and the patients are waiting for you. This is also true for when you are interviewing and having a conversation with a potential candidate for a position within your practice. Pay close attention to how they're sitting, their posture, because first impressions are imprinted in our brains and they're permanent. And so I want you to practice and be mindful so that you can make sure that every time throughout the day as you're greeting your patients, you're constantly working towards creating a brand where your imprinted message and impression on the patient's eyes is always a positive one.